we talked about the weather. We talked about the drive.
Did we talk about what we're watching on Netflix?
Yeah, we've been over that already. Did we ask if you're doing anything this weekend?
I know. Those are the things that we always,
I'm pretty much out. That's all I got.
I know. There's not a lot of chit-chat these days.
No.
Yeah, not a lot of the chitty-chat. We haven't done much of it over the last 6 months because we just haven't been out and socializing like we used to. But if you're returning to the office this fall, you might have to get into the habit of making small talk. And for some ideas on how to do that, we've reached communication expert Lauren Sergi. Good morning, Lauren.
Good morning.
How are you finding making conversation these days?
Interestingly enough, if you can get past the rather fraught question of how are you doing, which is sometimes followed by a pause whether or not someone decides to answer honestly,
I know.
You can actually do pretty good with small talk.
Okay. How has the pandemic, though, changed the way we talk to each other? Because it feels like small talk is fraught with disaster sometimes.
It is. It's not so small anymore with so many major issues going on and people kind of tired of just pretending to power through it. It has become a little bit more touchy, a little bit more difficult. So you'll see people treat it more cautiously and sometimes even avoid the small talk altogether.
So are there any times in recent memory that you have conversations where you get the sense of that?
Not to the same degree, not in my recent memory at the very least. Around election time, that will happen because any question suddenly becomes very political, but not to the everyday degree that we're seeing now, that hesitancy to engage.
All right, so you talked about the whole how are you doing question as being one that can really go sideways on you. What should we say instead?
There's a lot of options out there. What I try to look for is the everyday, the stuff of life that people can easily mention because they tend to be shared experiences. So small talk does not have to be brilliant. It doesn't have to be clever. But what it should is provide an opening for someone to answer a question. So asking about weekend plans is okay, but it kind of leaves all the decision-making up to the other person. On the other hand, if you said something like, what's one thing that's really bringing you joy right now? Well, that sets the tone for the conversation that you want something happy and uplifting, but it also gives the other person something more specific to respond to, which can encourage the conversation. And their answer will give you the chance to ask them more questions so that back and forth becomes much more easy with a more specific question.
Okay. Well, it was interesting. I was in an elevator yesterday. I had to go to an appointment, and a woman got into the elevator with me and said, "I love your boots." And we actually had this great little quick chat as we were going up to our destination. So is that a good way to engage people?
That sort of observation is a great way to engage people. People like being asked about themselves. So I love your boots is saying, hey, where did you get them? You have such great taste. It's very complimentary and it's very, very friendly. So those kind of observations are great. And you just roll with them. Don't overthink the answer. It's 30 seconds of chit-chat, not 2 hours of solving the world's problems.
I guess sometimes we don't think of it that way, though. We are trying to engage with people, and because a lot of us are a little isolated, we want to try and make those connections with people.
They're really important, those connections. It's fueling that social need that we have to simply be with other humans in a non-high stakes environment. And in terms of work, being willing to make that kind of chit-chat in the office space is going to improve morale. It can improve relationships. It can make it easier to discuss the hard things.
Okay. Any other advice for people about small talk and how we can do it more easily?
Be the person to step up and introduce the small talk. And that's probably the hardest thing, is opening your mouth first and getting the conversation going. But remember, we're not solving the world's problems here, and it gets better with practice. Have a few stock questions in your back pocket, a few stock things like great boots, what's lighting you up right now, what do you think of the weather? There's nothing wrong with that. And be willing to try again with just about anyone you come across.
Perfect. Lauren, thanks for the chit-chat this morning.
Thank you so much.
Lauren Sergi is a communications expert in Edmonton. I was happy to talk about my boots yesterday
Right.
because I got them on sale and I was happy to tell her where I bought
I've
them.
asked you about your footwear before, and if you open the window, you can really give a good, solid answer on that one.
Quite a lengthy. It goes beyond chit-chat if you want to talk boots. They were a cheetah print, by the way.
I see.
It's perfect boot weather. This
Is
is
it
why
now?
I love fall so much.
Okay.
We could do a whole show on fall footwear.